Hi, everybody. This is Book 8 of Trials and Testimony of a Blood-Bought Saint. This is entitled The Accursed Thing. Deuteronomy 7 and 26 says, "Nor shall you bring an abomination to your house, lest you be doomed to destruction like it. You shall utterly detest it and utterly abhor it, for it is an accursed thing." Uh, we bring things into our home unaware that may be cursed, or I use the term demonically charged. Things that we get from swap meets, garage sales, used clothing stores. These things that people bring into their homes, like whatever they were into, whatever wickedness they indulged in, so do these items. And those things I refer to as demonically charged. But as far as things that are cursed, there are uh, Satanists and witches and warlocks. They intentionally put curses on things so that we can bring these things into our home, and that they will begin to cause chaos and disrupt the harmony in the house and cause division and just push you off the path, further off the path of following Christ. So this is how you end up getting these kids bringing these things into the home. This is how you got these kids calling themselves, that referring to themselves as like they, them now, using these pronouns that basically refer to multiple people. That's what the Bible talks about, legion. Them saying that call themselves legion, for we are many. And they're openly they, them, these are my pronouns. But it's like not all of it can come from demonically charged or accursed things, but it's it is definitely a way that Satan is using to get into our homes. So how I end up finding out about this stuff is because of what happened to me. So a brother at church had given me some clothes, and I brought them in. They were in a bag, and I put them in a corner of my room. And so I started that not first night. I had really perverted dreams. It was like I knew it was like weird. I was like disgusted when I grew up, because it wasn't just like with women. It was like men and all kind of just like weird deformities and stuff in there. It was like really weird stuff. And I just remember waking up like, what in the heck was that? So that first night I brushed it off. The second night though, after this, I had the same type of dream. I said, "Oh no, something is not right." And I was in my room praying, and then I feel my spirit shifting into warfare as I'm praying. And I just start going and praying in tongues. And I feel it getting more and more aggressive. And my eyes are closed as I'm walking around my room praying. And then all of a sudden I just start throwing punches. And then I just felt it getting more and more aggressive as I'm praying. You know, and I'm just walking around my room praying. Then it just kicked into another gear. I'm just like, just all this intensity, and I'm just praying and throwing punches and praying, and I feel the spirit lift. And so I open my eyes. When I open my eyes, I'm standing directly over the bag of clothes. And then after that night, I didn't have those dreams anymore. And I'm not saying that he was secretly a witch or warlock, but I believe he was in some perverted stuff, doing some perverted stuff that that connected those spirits to his clothes. The next story we talk about where it was a sister at church. She took her daughter to the fair and won this giant Tweety doll, and she took her and she gave it to her daughter. And she said the first night her daughter had night terrors, but she didn't draw the conclusion that was from the Tweety doll. Then she had the dream again. She had another night terror the next night. And I don't know if it was this, I don't remember if it was that second time she had the night terrors or the third time, where she finally said, "This started when I brought that in here." and she threw it out. And then after that, her daughter didn't have any more night terrors. And see, we understood because like we were taught about discernment, we were taught about prophecy, we were taught about casting out demons, and so we were aware of be paying attention to our atmosphere. But a lot of Christians aren't, and so you'll see them. They'll end up putting their kids in therapy or putting them on medication for something that that needs to be dealt with spiritually or physically by throwing that stuff out your house. Uh, the third and last one, it was it was my cousins. We had went to Alabama, and at this time, like I wasn't saved that in none of these I wasn't saved long. It was maybe like a year and a half, maybe 2 years in, but we go down there, and it was like my assignment was to go down there and win souls for the Lord, to be bold, and that's what I did, man. I mean, that's what I tried to do. We went down there preaching the gospel, praying. So we're ministering to them and we're talking to them, and then they tell us like, "Well, can you come pray? Can I pray their son, my little cousin's room out, because he won't every night he goes in his room. He said there's something in there and he can't sleep. So I go in there and I'm praying, and I'm walking around, I'm praying, and then his room is covered in SpongeBob stuff. That's all. It was just all the toys with SpongeBob, and it was 3 toys in particular. As I'm praying, my attention just kept getting drawn to. So after I finished praying, I tell him, I said, I pointed to the 3. I said, this one, this one, this one need to go. And they tell me, nah, we getting rid of all this stuff. So they threw out all those toys, all the toys, the remote control, the posters, they threw it all out. And from that night on, he didn't have a problem sleeping in his room. They say he slept in his room that night for the first time with no problems. And I'm like, that's the importance of paying attention to the atmosphere in your house, because I tell you, these Satanists, in that case, I believe Satanists with those toys specifically put curses on those things to bring in their home to torment children. And that's why I'm adamant about like checking my, I time to time, I'm not as, consistent with as I should, but it's like if I bring a toy in and I'm just like, this thing kind of weird, I ask my son, like, is this something he really wants? Because I don't want to, I feel like we can mess our kids up by going overboard, by saying no toys, no TV, no cartoons and all that. Because, what I end up usually seeing is kids grow up and they just rebel and do whatever they want to do, So I try to be balanced in that. So I'll if it's something he wants and I'm not unsure about it, I just ask him. I say, did you have any nightmares? Did you dream okay? Like, long as he say it's fine, then I'm like, okay. But if he say he had a nightmare, I'm like, the first thing when he said he had a nightmare, I'm like, what did we bring in here? What's the last thing we bring in? What did we buy from? Because it could be a book, it could be a book that they it is. Because like I said, you listen to the testimonies of witches and warlocks of Satan, and they'll tell you like nobody was off limit. Women, children, kids, old people, everybody was like their assignment was to put curses, on people, and that's what they did, to open up people to the demonic realm and to demons that will plague them throughout their lives. And this is what we need to be sensitive to. They don't teach these things, but it's like this is one of the reasons I want to put this out here. It's like because these things are important. It's like if your kids are having consistent nightmares, I can almost guarantee you it is something in that home that is allowing that is allowing that demon to, something that was brought in. Because sometimes it's just you can move into a house where the spirit was already at. Because like even houses, that's why you supposed to pray a house out or bless the house before you move in, so that all that old stuff that was in there doesn't attach itself to you or find a way in and end up making you become it. Like Deuteronomy 7:26 says, like the reason the the spirits of perversion was causing me having dreams is because they wanted me to conform and start desiring the things that I was dreaming about. I've heard people who've had homosexual dreams and they were just like, man, and they start questioning their sexuality. Am I gay? And then they end up becoming gay because that's what these spirits do. But like me, I'm like, this was stuff. I'm like, this isn't, it was like people, that's why you have to know who you are in Christ, because that didn't make me question my identity because I knew who I was in Christ. I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, this ain't something that I'm into. I didn't question, say, is this something I secretly like? Because this is what the world will tell you. Maybe you want to have sex with both men and women. I'm like, no, I don't. You know, but this is what the world does, and this is why we have to be on our guard. This is why we have to stay in prayer and use discernment and just and have an act. Or if we're not in that place, to connect with people who are in that place to help us, who can come in and help us pray or pray our houses out when these things are happening. You know, but I hope that this helps some of you and that it blesses you and that you're able to use this or you're able to use this to help someone. I thank you all for watching. You all have a blessed rest of your day.